Hey there. When you buy a home, getting a mortgage is a large component. So let me just say, we're not mortgage brokers, but we want to cover some of the terminology when you buy a home and you have to get a mortgage, just so you know what's going on.
A lot of clients come to me and ask, should I go for fixed rate or variable rate? Well, simple answer, fixed rate is you know your payment. Every month, your mortgage pays the same amount for whatever the term is. Variable rate is based on the Bank of Canada prime rate, so it can be up or down. It really depends what's the current rate. I personally like fixed rate because I can manage how much I pay per month. I don't have to worry if interest rate going up crazy. Just like a few years ago after COVID, the interest rate jumped to 5-6%. It doesn't affect my investment properties because I have a 5 years fixed rate. How about your opinion on the rate, variable rate?
Well, one of the things that we encounter, most buyers, when they have to get a mortgage, they focus on getting the absolute lowest rate, period. But as you can see from what we've discussed, there's a lot more involved in just getting the lowest rate. Now, is it open or closed? That's something else that we haven't covered in detail yet. One of the things that I like is if I'm only going to own the property for a couple of years, I don't want to lock it in with a 5-year closed mortgage. Maybe going variable is the better option.
Because the fixed rate, when you sell before the rate expired, you were subject to penalties.
And they calculate the penalty in two different ways. Typically, like a 3-month interest penalty, that's not so bad. But though when they calculate a mortgage differential, well, you could be talking tens of thousands of dollars in mortgage penalty. So overall, it may not make sense to take that option. Amortization. That is the total time that it's going to take you to pay off your mortgage. But what if you could pay it off quicker? How does that work?
Well, let's explain. For example, the home is worth $500,000, the average home here, and 20% down, which means your mortgage amount is $400,000. Just say you have a 5 years mortgage, 4%. So in 25 years, you paid off the home. And then the total interest rate you paid on the 400,000 is over 230,000.
That's more than...
It is.
Wow.
Yes, you pay a lot. So you purchase home for $500,000 and you pay the mortgage for $230,000. So the total is over how much? $730,000. Now the trick is, how can you pay down the mortgage as soon as possible? Your mortgage payment is about $2,100. Say you pay $100 more per month, and that can shorten your mortgage timing to 1.5 years and over $17,000 saving. So do the math. If you pay a little bit more every month, you could shorten your mortgage to 15 years to pay it off, which we just did. Mm-hmm. Right?
But I have another question for you. So this is if you're putting 20% down. A lot of people are only putting 5% down. So how does that work?
Well, 5% down, you need to have CMHC. What CMHC stand for?
Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation.
Insurance. So what they do is they allow you to put down 5%, and the CMHC will provide you the insurance, which 5% on top of your mortgage. And that is great because you have a low down payment. But you also be aware now your monthly payment is much higher.
It's about $2,500.
Yes, you pay $400 more compared to if you come with 20% down.
And because the CMHC premium is added to your mortgage, instead of $2,500, it's about another $100. So you're paying $2,600 a month.
That's correct. So do your math before you purchase a home. Understand what's the difference. You pay for 5% down, 15% down, or normal 20% down. Because this is the long term. We're talking about the 25 years ahead of time. and you need to think before you even take action to buy your first home.
So did you know that your home is not an asset? Well, not your asset, not until you've fully paid it off.
Because it's a bank asset, that's why you have a mortgage on it. And that's the reason I always recommend the homeowners to pay off your mortgage as soon as possible. Yes, the leverage is a wonderful thing for investors. So once you pay off your mortgage, you can go back to the bank and refinancing, and now you can use the money to investing. Make sure do not use to buy a boat, buy a house, buy assets, and then that to generate your wealth. If you'd like to learn more about investing, check my previous video, 7 Profit Centers to Real Estate Rich.
Renewing a mortgage. Now, the most common term is 5 years. So back 5 years ago when interest rates were historically low, so many people locked in for 5 years, and now, 5 years later, they are up for renewal. So what do you suggest?
Well, this is go back to the square one. We talk about fixed rate or variable rate. Now you have to make a decision again. Do you want to go back to the fixed rate or do you want to go back to variable rate? Important thing is what your life will be in next 5 years. Are you planning to sell your home or you planning continue to live in that home? Because that can make a different decisions. Very important for you to share with your plan to a mortgage broker or talk to us so we can guide you to the next step.
We covered a lot of topics, and we trust that you found a lot of useful information here. If there's another topic that you would like us to cover, please leave a comment below.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.